What's going on, Wolves and Warriors? My name's Jay Stewart, and this is the Better Body Academy podcast, the #1 show for those looking to permanently overhaul their mind and body without dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. We banish the fitness industry BS and replace it with science-backed strategies proven through countless client transformations. In the Better Body Academy, we help busy men and women around the world get unstuck and back into momentum so they start feeling strong and sexy again. Our mission is to transform 1 million lives, and you, my friend, could be next. And on that note, let's get straight into today's show. Welcome to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs and want to change your mind and body permanently without those stupid things. Anyway, today, guys, I'm joined by one of our Better Body Academy coaches. This lass is next level. She's name is Coach Court. She's name is Coach Court. That sounded a bit weird. Anyway, how you doing, Court? You well?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So let's get straight to it because it was one of the conversations we were having off air. Court's got on camera and she's like, "Oh my God, look at my eyelashes. This is crazy." So, Court, why are you so done up? Tell us.
So of course it's for all you guys. No. So I'm competing in my first bikini competition this Saturday. And today my cousin owns a salon, so she's helping me out with the pre-show makeup. So this was actually the first time I saw my face on camera today since I got home, and I'm like, whoa, this is a little loud.
Nah, you're looking good, mate. So let's run with it. I think you're looking good. Anyway, so when does the tan come? When does the tan come?
Yeah, so the show's Saturday, so the tan will be this Friday night, and then we get touched up. I found out 2 more times, I think, the day of. So I'm going to be looking nice and tan, nice and bronzed.
I like it. How good. All right. Well, guys, in this episode, we're going to be having a bit of a talk about how to find inspiration when you're struggling. And we're going to go a little bit deep on this because I know that this is a challenge for all of us. And I think a lot of people look at, so-called motivated people and they're like, how are they always motivated? Like, how do they do that? The truth is we're not, they're not. And the quicker you know, that's the better. So what we're going to do is really sort of dig down on that in this episode. But before we go into it, I want to kind of ask Court to introduce herself a little bit about who you are and kind of what your style is.
Okay, so I'm Coach Courtney. I am from the United States. I live in the state of Massachusetts. We're finally getting into summertime. I'm 30 years old. I'll be 31 in exactly a month, or a little less than a month. And my style, I've been a personal trainer now for some time, and I love doing strength training. I'm big into lifting. I was very much into cardio for a long time, but I've merged into loving lifting weights and lifting heavy, and empowering women to do so.
I love that so much because I think a lot of women are on this kind of feeling that, oh my God, but if I lift weights, I'm going to get all bulky. Like that's the thing that's constantly said, right? But maybe we'll cover that in another episode. So what we want to talk about, guys, is what to do when you're just like down in the dumps. When you're feeling that kind of like, nah, like it's just like you're walking through mud. Things aren't working for you. You really like to get into a fitness transformation or a health transformation, but it's just a struggle to get started. So if you're watching at home or you're listening to the pod, just like give us a silent head nod. We feel you. We know where you are. And so I want to start by telling you about, one of my darkest times was when I came out of a 6-year relationship to the girl that, of course, I thought that I'd marry. I think we all probably have a story like that. And when I come out of that relationship, like it was just probably 3 to 4 months of what felt like running through mud. It was just like getting up in the morning was kind of rough. And, I kind of loved the start of the weekends. When it got to a Friday, I'm like, yeah, we can go out and party. But then it kind of got to a Sunday, and Sunday's like bittersweet because you're lonely. And it's like, oh man, it was just a really, really tough time, to be fair. And I know a lot of people are in this zone at the moment, and it might not be from a breakup. It might be just from perhaps you've lost your job. Perhaps you're having a hard time financially. Perhaps you and your partner just aren't gelling at the moment. Perhaps you've put on weight, perhaps you're going through a bit of depression, whatever it is, we all get stuck at certain times. Courts, can you remember when you sort of had a time that really stuck out to you as being like, ugh?
Yeah, I can think of two. And the one I want to talk about is really similar to yours, actually. I've been single for some time now, my own want, but I was in a very long-term relationship. Just ultimately was blindsided, and we were going to buy a house. We knew how many kids we wanted.
Wow.
We talked about marrying each other, and yeah, I was just pretty blindsided with a bunch of things I wasn't expecting. And so I remember it was hard because when you don't expect something, we all have those curveballs in our life. You sometimes don't know how to necessarily handle it because you're not ready to cope ahead of time. So yeah, it definitely was tough.
It's funny when you get older, you start to, I guess, be a little bit hardened, but I don't know if it's because maybe you're a little bit more emotionally balanced. But the other part about it is that you've accumulated some tools. And when you've got the tools, you can better handle yourself. And this is the same as when you're in a fitness transformation. A lot of people just don't know how to get out of their funk because they just don't have the tools. It's not because they're dumb, stupid, unmotivated. They just don't have the tools at this stage. So what would be the consequences, guys, of you remaining in this funk? So if you are there at the moment where you're just like struggling to get started, you wake up every day, you feel low in energy, you feel like you're almost like pressing play on a life every morning that's just happening to you. It feels like Groundhog Day. It feels like it's not like there's no part of it which is necessarily like dangerous or suicidal, but it's just this idea. It's like, oh man, like what am I, you start to question your own existence. And you know what? Funks can last for 5-10 years if they get out of control. And then one day you wake up and you just like, oh man, like so much time has passed me by. And so when we look at the opposite, if you can learn to get yourself up despite the struggle, what actually happens is you strengthen your resolve. You're able to affirm self-belief. If you can move through times of transition and come out the other side with some strength, it's a signal for the direction that you're going to go in your life. You're back in momentum. And a lot of people that come into the Better Body Academy, they really come in because they're in a funk, right, Courts?
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of times they feel like they've been stuck for some time and they're like, you know what? I'm sick of being sick and tired. So I need the help. I'm raising my hand.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. It's raising your hand, and having the courage to actually raise your hand, I think is the kind of point of difference. A lot of people will stay stuck in their funk trying to think, no, I can do it on my own. I can do it on my own, because we equate having to raise our hand as a point of weakness. I would like to reframe that as a point of courage. Okay. If you have the ability to raise your hand and say, you know what, I'd like a little bit of help. That's a point of courage. You value your sense of sanity. You value time. You value your health, especially your mental health. So you stick your hand up and get moving. Now, what we want to talk about here, Courts, is, and this is why I brought you in, because I think your mindset is particularly strong. I'd like to talk about maybe 3 or 4 points that are practical that maybe we can go through that have helped you in a time that you were stuck.
Absolutely.
So perhaps should we go like 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 or something like that?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Cool. All right. Hit me, girl. Number 1. How do you get out of a funk? How do you find inspiration when you're struggling?
So the number one thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about this, because I have been through this exactly, was giving myself a tangible reward with the hopes in due time it would turn into an intrinsic motivational reward. So what I mean by that is simply, I would say, for instance, is a pair of lifting sneakers I really want. I would make that my goal to work towards. That would be my reward, right? And once I finally get that momentum going that we're all seeking, I would then realize over time that I didn't need that tangible reward anymore. It was coming from within. I was loving the way I was feeling after working out. Because at first, it doesn't always feel, that love doesn't come sometimes right away. It takes time to form that love with working out, right?
And that is like, You've gone straight to the most potent one, I think, because out of this is awesome, because out of this, like we typically call this the carrot and stick approach, but what you're suggesting is forget the stick. When you're stuck in a funk, put yourself a carrot in front of you and run towards that carrot, right? And you know what, Courts, I actually did this week. I don't really spend much money on myself at all. I prefer to just buy for other people. It feels nicer. And I bought myself a pair of No Bull shoes, and they're like $160, something like that. And like, it felt good to kind of reward myself and try to put myself back into momentum. So how does it go from being an external to reward, an external kind of motivation, to being an internal one? How does that happen?
Yeah, I think that course or that path is different depending on the person. It's totally subjective. But I think what changes is you cross that threshold of, I need something to see, I need something to buy. And that threshold that you cross is, I internally feel good. I now see the benefit of working out, the way my body feels, the way my mind feels. That it's like you no longer need to work towards it, because your body and brain have now made that connection to loving fitness and seeing how it helps you.
Yeah. And I've seen this in a study actually talking about people who go into rehab facilities, and the instructors or the facilitators always know who the people are going to be that are going to be successful and the people that are going to relapse. And you know how they know? It's from the people that enter with extrinsic motivation. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my kids. Unless that eventually that's enough to get them started. Right. But if they don't convert over to being like, I'm doing this for myself and my own self-worth and my own integrity, unless that transition happens, we drop away. So I think getting started with the external, but making sure that that turns into like, I'm doing this for me at some part. You know, 100%. I'm not doing it to have revenge on my partner and show him or her like how strong I am now, you know?
Right. Because once that happens, it goes away eventually. Right.
Correct.
So if it doesn't transition to inside, it eventually goes away. You know,
dude, that's powerful. Okay. Number two.
Number two, I think finding we can call it a fit family, but I think just finding your support network is super important. You know, with the BBA, the women's and the men's group, it is an immense amount of support from the second you step inside to the Facebook group. Introduce yourself. You're just slammed with support and positivity, and just people who are along the similar journey or different goals, but a similar journey. So I think it's just finding that environment that you feel supported and comfortable in, because we all know for damn sure not every environment is supportive, not every environment is healthy. So really finding and finding your way, and again, raising your hand for help and finding that group that's really going to lift you higher and not tear you down for wanting to change yourself.
Do you know, I really didn't understand that until we started off the Women's Academy. I really didn't understand how cruel some women are to each other. And I thought, oh, women are like nice and stuff, and they'd all support each other and they're emotional, and that's, but men are like assholes to each other. Yeah. But I was like quickly informed that no, like women aren't crabs in the bucket. Women are like, rah, like pulling each other like cats in a bucket. Yeah.
It's a real thing. There's plenty of supportive and empowering women out there, but there is a significant percentage of women out there who just seek to do otherwise, and it's unfortunate.
Dude, what do you think that is? Like, you've obviously worked in the mental and mindset side of, you know, coaching for a long time. Why do you think that is? Why do people feel the need to bring other people down?
I think maybe there's a couple of reasons. I think jealousy is a factor. I think insecurities. Maybe someone is seeing someone bettering themselves, and they themselves maybe want that, but just aren't there yet. So I think there's a lot of push and pull when it comes to the way women treat each other. And I think it does just come down to like maybe an insecurity, and that's just how they kind of just place it onto other women. It's like a defense mechanism almost, you know?
So putting yourself, so number two is to put yourself into an environment which actually picks you up. And I think that's like what I am most proud of. If you ask me, like, what are you most proud of about in your kind of, in this academy, Jace, I'm most proud of the fact that when a new person comes in and they pop up their introduction, they get 10, 20, 30 people instantly say, welcome, welcome, welcome. And they're kind of like, what the hell? Like, what I just popped up a post telling everyone who I am, and I got 30 people jumping on to support me.
Right.
That feels really good. And for the people that go deeper into that and find that kind of family and really turn up for it, it doesn't matter that it's on Facebook.
No.
You know, you connect with people where they are. And I think that's a really
Exactly.
great point. Okay, number 3.
Number 3 would be to kind of do this thing that I call a mental contrast, where you kind of it's just ultimately you figuring out what's getting in the way of you embarking on this change, or what's getting in the way of you feeling stuck or getting to it from point A to point B. You know, kind of identifying the benefits of staying where you are, and also identifying the benefits of getting moving, getting your momentum back, right? And just identifying what is that missing piece, or what did I allow to happen, or what happened to get in the way of that, and making a plan.
Yeah, I love that, because so often we just get like do you know what? Like Courtney and I speak all the time, and we always just come back to this one statement. It starts with awareness. It starts with awareness. Like everything in the world starts with awareness, right? It's kind of like when I used to be in the business world, we used to kind of talk all the time, and people would be like, oh, so we just got to put this down to communication, right? It's like, it starts with awareness that you can't change something until you know what's going wrong. And that requires you to get out of being in your life, and instead standing back and looking at your life. And what you're suggesting is perhaps writing down, like, what are the benefits of staying stuck, right? Which includes safety.
Right.
Which includes safety. That's an innate benefit. What are the benefits of moving forward? And you're suggesting we've got to find that bridge, like what's stopping us?
Yeah, ultimately seeing that, you know, whatever's getting in the way, identifying that and bringing awareness to it, and just making a game plan, because we're going to see that the benefits of getting to where we want to be outweigh the benefits of staying where we are. You know, and it might take some time to see that, but I think when you do like a pros and cons list and just identify that barrier, it's a super helpful visual.
Yeah. How often do you think it would be that people would do that process and realize that actually there's nothing actually keeping them stuck? Like, how often would that happen?
Might be a good handful of times where people might be like, yeah, it's just I need to get going. Like there might not be this significant factor, right, in the way. It might just be like I just need to break through this, like mentally just need to commit, you know.
Okay, you got a 4th one?
Yes, and it kind of connects to this.
Okay.
So that would be just making a commitment contract, you know, kind of like the cliche thing with reminding yourself what your why is, but a visual commitment contract to yourself, whether that's a vision board or whether it's you writing down, like, I'm starting this because I started this because. So you can have this somewhere in your house. I have on my refrigerator right now my goals, and in my office, I have my vision board. So I'm constantly reminded of why I started, what I want.
So a commitment contract, what does that look like? It's got to be a visual thing.
Yeah. Yep. It could be you writing down, you know, my reasons why I started. And then it can be like my vision of where I see myself in 6 months. Just something to keep you going, something that's visual that you can look at and be like, yep, okay, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this.
Because it's so easy, like getting started's one thing, then it's keeping on track, which is the tough part, right? Like we know that some people come into the Better Body Academy and they go hard as hell at the start, and one thing derails them and they kind of drop off for 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Right.
So it's not about just getting started. I think getting started is the hardest bit, but it is staying in momentum. And one of my personal golden rules is that it's okay to slow down, because you got a life, right? It's okay to slow down at times. Life is not meant to be at one continuous pace all the time. You will burn yourself out. This goes down the line of this, like, it's why we started the academy. It's showing people that there is another way to skin the cat. It can be about sustainability in the long term, not going 100 miles an hour and not being able to keep it up. However, what definitely matters far more than the speed of which you are traveling is the trajectory or direction that you are going. As long as you're staying in momentum towards the person you want to be, the experiences you want to have, the goals you want to achieve, it doesn't matter if it's happening really, really, really slowly, but the direction matters, right? Courts, can you just like hit us with those 4 again so that we don't have to rewind? So quick fire, we've got
having a real reward that turns into an intrinsic reward.
Okay.
Making a commitment contract to yourself.
Okay.
Figure out what's getting in the way.
Okay.
Find a fit fam.
Find a fit fam. Okay. I love that. So let's talk to the person finally before we finish this off. And this is a bit unprompted. So let's talk to the person that's like kind of sitting there nodding along to this and going, yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. That makes sense. Like, how do you take that person and say, dude or dudette, like, come on, let's get into momentum again. Like, what do you say to that person if that was a client of yours, someone that's really kind of deeply stuck in a struggle, right? And it might not be like a terribly bad, violent struggle, but it's just like, I'm just so stuck.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person?
I would just say, like, how much longer are you willing to put your dreams and your goals on hold? Like, how much longer? You know, you've joined this academy for a reason, or you started your journey for a reason, and you're stuck right now, right? You made the commitment to invest in yourself. Why put these goals on hold any longer? Why? Like, really hit them with that why. And because I actually had this conversation with a client today, who she was struggling with waking up earlier because she knew that would help her hit her goals for fitness. And we had a real talk today, and I just kind of said to her, why? But you know what I mean? I think it's just a matter of having a real talk and just getting down to how much longer are you willing to put this aside.
So I would say that's a really good point. So what I would say to this person is, I have been in your shoes. Okay. I have been in your shoes. If you're listening or watching at home, you shouldn't feel ridiculous that you are just so useless, because we've all been at a point where we just struggled to get stuck. And what got us unstuck usually was the assistance of another person, a close friend or a mentor or a brother or a sister or a coach or a best mate. If we try to do things on our own, it is really hard. It's really hard. So you've got to understand that there are a number of currencies in the world. Okay. There's dollars and various other exchanges. There's time and there's health. Like, these 3 things, to me, I think we have them the wrong way up. Like, I think we value money at the highest, time next, and then health last. We spoke to a gentleman on the podcast, I don't know if you've listened to it yet, who has cystic fibrosis, and he's 25 years old, and it was an amazing podcast, okay? And we got his story. And he quoted, I don't know if I'm going to butcher this quote, but he basically said, health is unimportant until it's the only thing you have. And effectively went down the line of saying, and the cemetery is full of people with unfulfilled potential, unfulfilled dreams and experiences. And like, people would sort of dress this up and gloss over it. And it's because we're so biased about the short term. We only care for the short term. If we could have a viewpoint of 10 to 20 years down the track and just consider that, like, I don't really like where I'm going to be at that point in time. Let's reach out for help now and get back into momentum. Oh, like, it would be powerful. But we've got to take our focus on just like a little bit further out. Got to consider where we're going to be down the line. Anyway, any final thoughts that you kind of want to contribute, girl?
No, I think we touched upon a lot of good things. This was an awesome live. I really enjoyed this podcast.
Look, do you know what? Some people, they're just going to switch this sort of stuff off because it's hard to hear, right? The way that I want to approach the podcast, Courts, is to be able to really go to that person that it's just one person. If there's one person listening to this podcast that's there and says, you know what, like, I'll reach out for help.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not even to come into the academy. Maybe it's just to get started. Like if we can create this kind of movement where it's just like, you don't have to do these freaking diets and dumb programs and supplements and man, just get into momentum. That's what we need to start with. All right. Well, girl, I want to honor you. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. I want to wish you all the best officially, publicly for this weekend. Are you nervous?
Thank you. I am getting nervous now. Yeah, I am.
How are you pushing through the nervousness?
I'm staying super busy, drinking tons of water right now. And just staying really, really busy and trying not to think about all these appointments I have leading up to it.
Yeah, no, you'll be good, mate. And then you'll get on stage and then you'll come off on Sunday or Monday, whatever it is. And then you'll just eat everything.
Everything in sight. I'm going to start getting ready, like food wise, preparing now.
I love it. So good. Refeed time. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining Courts and I on the Better Body Academy podcast. As you know, this is your podcast that you come to for a permanent mind and body change without the dumb diets, unsustainable workout programs. Guys, if you feel so enjoyed by this podcast, please share it. Please tag us on your Instagram stories. I would love, love, love that. Please subscribe. And other than that, guys, we're going to leave it there and see you in the next episode. Enjoy your afternoon, morning, or evening. Wolves and Warriors, thank you so much for tuning in. If this podcast is hitting the mark for you and giving you the confidence to start your own personal journey, I want you to hit me up on Facebook or head over to my Instagram at jstewart_Better Body Academy and DM me with the words Better Body Academy. I want to give you the tools to permanently overhaul your mind and body without dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Our mission is to achieve 1 million lives transformed, and you, my friend, could be next. So hit me up on Facebook or head over to my Instagram at jstewart_Better Body Academy and DM me with the words Better Body Academy, and we can have a chat about whether we can help you with your transformation goals.